A very good evening to one and all present. I'm really happy to welcome you all once again back to the series of IRE Talks. Today we all are connected as a part of the IRE Talk series, and IRE Talk Forum brings the inspirational speakers to deliver the sessions on innovation, research and entrepreneurship. And today's topic for IRE is Research Landscape for Management Education. And the keynote speaker is Dr. Aalok Kumar, the professor at IIM Vizag. So we are really happy and honored that you have accepted our invitation to be part of this webinar IRE Talk, sir. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir. Please allow me to share a few insights about GIBS before we begin. So GIBS Business School Bangalore is a place where talents are nurtured, ambitions cherished, ideas shared and dreams fulfilled. GIBS Business School is a part of Govt Educational Trust, which is a charitable trust based in Bangalore. GIBS majorly offers two programs, BBA from Bangalore University and PGDM, which is an AICTE approved program. Recently, we are happy to inform that recently we have been awarded as ranked as 5th best emerging B schools in India and 9th best B school for placements in BBA by Times of India 2022. And we are really happy that we prepare the students for success. And we have designed the Industry 4.0 curriculum and introduced a number of unique programs such as GIBS Finishing School, GIBS IRE Talks, IRE School, Sports Management Certification, Business Mastery Program, and so on and so forth. I would like to extend my warm greeting to Dr. Aalok Kumar, the resource person of today's IRE Talks. And it's my privilege and honor to introduce the guest for the evening, the speaker of the evening, to this distinguished audience. Dr. Aalok Kumar has been awarded PhD in Operations Management from the Department of Management Studies, IIT Roorkee, and MTech in Industrial Management from IIT Bhubaneswar with a gold medal. His PhD works has also received the Excellence in Doctoral Research Award from IIT Roorkee. He has also been awarded with a prestigious Newton Baba Fellowship, jointly awarded by British Council UK and DST India. At the University of Sussex, UK, and the Queen Elizabeth visited the fellowship at the University of Regina, Canada, awarded by the Government of Canada. Before joining IIM Vizag, Sir was also associated with the University of Maribor, Slovenia, as a circular economy course instructor. Sir has more than about 5+ years of teaching and work experience. His research interests are in multi-modal logistic planning, data-driven logistics, operation in Industry 4.0 era, electric vehicle-based freight mobility, resilient logistics, and so on and so forth. I would beg your pardon, Aalok sir, your profile is quite long. I would cut it short here. And I request all the participants, in case if you have any queries, any doubts, anything, you can put it in the Q&A section. Probably we'll take it at the end of the session. Without much ado, Aalok sir, over to you, sir.
Yeah. So thank you very much, Sandeep ji, for inviting and introducing to the participant.
Thank you so much.
And at one of the objective of IRE series or School of IRE, which is talking about the innovation, research, entrepreneurship. So with your permission, I just modify the meaning of I here, because we are going to be talking about the research landscape for the management research or the management education. So here I just modify this means of I as the intelligent researcher entrepreneur.
Absolutely.
How intelligently we are looking for a management research and how we are going to contribute for the management decision makers, managers, entrepreneurs, or you can say the innovators. Okay. So thank you once again, Sandeep ji and the entire GBS family for inviting me. So let me share the presentation, but my request to the participants, they can share their questions, their queries in a more interactive way to share the knowledge. So keep in mind, this is not a unidirectional flow of information. We are trying to keep in a multidimensional or bidirectional at least to improve the impact of research landscape. So if you look at, just one second. Yeah, Sandeep ji, my slide is visible?
Yes, sir, it is visible, sir.
So before starting to research, we should have a key and very, very clear motivation for the research. This particular research is not only related to the management, it is equally applicable to the engineering sciences as well as the medical. So I just took this particular definition from an open source. The research is a careful study that is done to find and report. So if you look at to this particular definition, which is talking about the three important keywords, we should look at for a very, very careful consideration of a study, how we are preparing a research report, and how we are representing the data or knowledge for better decision making. Okay, so as the Kurt Lewin, which is a famous social psychologist and also awarded as a Nobel Prize, which is talking about no research without action. So your thought process should be converted in a form of report, in a form of a study, which is concluding something to support to the managers in context of the management research, and no action without research. If you are not making action plan for concluding or for converting any particular research in a form of action, that cannot be a good form of research. And generally, the research, which is everybody is looking for that, or which is visible to everyone, but the researcher is looking for which is not visible to many of us. So that's why the Albert Sanjin geology talking about the research is seeking what everybody else had seen and thinking what nobody else had thought. So this message is for especially for the innovators. If you look at to the various the food delivery apps, food delivery or the taxing or the sharing economy apps, everybody is looking for the opportunities, but only few can deploy that particular opportunity in form of the realization of the different management startups and innovations. Now, many of the people thinking that if you look at here, the research can be considered as a part of something award, prestigious, giving some information to the managers, making some research publications, presenting some data, and also used for the classroom teaching purpose. But it's not sufficient. When we're talking about the rigor in research or a scientific method used for research, we should look at for the observations, what could be a general observation about the problem or what challenges faced by the society. Then based on that, we link to the research topics, how we can model it, how we can test the particular hypothesis which can support the research management education. Analyzing the data is important part. Which particular tool is used for analyzing the data and what type of the reports you are presenting to the managers or the decision makers. But this is my message to everyone. Before you start any particular research, it can be a small marketing research, it can be your product positioning research, it can be your supply chain research or any particular. So it's not like a one-day exercise or overnight you can develop some tool, develop some methods to make the analysis. So keep patient, don't panic before you start your research. Again, what is the business research? Because many people have some criticism. No, business people are not having any research mindset. This is something they are just do with the data or something. So that's why, what is especially the business or management research? So here, because our objective is to meet the requirement of day-to-day observations, day-to-day problems of the business, and how we are inquiring the objectively to each and every information to solve the managerial problems, which can be a business problem, which can be from a customer perspective, which can be from a supplier perspective, which can be from a contract perspective, and many more. So here, when we're talking about here, generally we are developing a new knowledge base or the new skill sets that is required for taking a very, very challenging environment through the research. That's why here I just giving my concern of the research. Many people say, no, the research is, which is already searched, we have to do something. Somebody say, no, it's something which is, we are representing a reorientation, representing the already research, doing something. So here we just put a note or just for understanding, I just keeping my views for the research. which is talking about the re. I just separated two words, the re and search. So re can be a reimagination, it can be a reproduction, it can be a rethinking, it can be a presentation, and it can be recovery. Like the last 2 years, every sector, whether it's marketing, operations, or anything, we are talking about the recovery from or the post-COVID scenarios. So the post-COVID is nothing but we are looking for some recoverable solutions to overcome the COVID impact. Then, if you look at to the remaining part, search, S-E-A-R-C-H. So my view on that, it can be differ from anyone. So my view of that, the searching is nothing but is a systematic evaluation, because it's applicable for the management research, evaluation and assessment of responsible characteristics. If you're looking for a consumer acceptance, and if you're looking for a consumer acceptance of a FMCG product X, and in the same time, you are looking for a consumer acceptance for a consumer durable product Y. So the characteristics, the variables, parameters, demographic data, the choice of customers, that may not be equally applicable. So that's why we look at for here the systematic evaluation and assessment. We have to evaluate the parameters, we have to evaluate the variables, we have to look at for the the responsible variables. That can be 1,000 of the variables. We are not going to consider all the variables for making some conclusive decisions. So that's why a systematic evaluation and assessment of responsible characteristics. And when you add it through, you can link with this, the reimagining the systematic evaluation, rethinking the systematic. So this is my way of defining the research. And especially in the case of the management research, because here we cannot consider the entire set of people, entire set of data set, entire set of the variables. So that's why we are only considering the responsible variables, which are used for making some managerial decisions. Now, why there is a need of research? We can adopt the various researches, but we look at for the new skills. We are look at for the new knowledge, like Sandeep ji highlighted about the finishing schools initiative. So that means how they indulging the research culture or the management skill sets at the finishing school level. It can be school level again, it can be the greater extent. So the purpose of that particular the research in infrastructure or the research knowledge to equip the managers in a very, very dynamic management world. Then why manager need better information? In a digital world, in industry 4.0 time, why we need the huge set of data? Because if you look at here, now we are collecting a gigabytes of the data per second. So the global and domestic competition is more dynamic. The monopolistic market is no more. We should look at for the different parameters again, the different characteristics of the system, and make them dynamic instead of making the static parameters for taking the decisions. Then organizations are increasingly practicing the data mining and data warehousing, data analytics. So now if you look at the today's time, you can find if you simply search the data analytics, within a 0.16 second, you will get 1 million of results. So that means how the important of the data analytics for the business decisions. But before that, we should look at from a research perspective, why there is a need for management research. Again, I am emphasizing on we can draw the better decisions for the managers. Then there may be many more reasons for studying the research. It can be to increase the ranking of the institute, to make the visibility of the individual researcher, to support the nation as well as the institutional goal. There may be many reasons. But how we can? This is a typical questions from the PhD or the early stage researchers. how to acquire the research skills, because that can be different from a teaching skill, that can be different from your learning skills, that can be different from your relearning, reskilling, or whatever the other terminology is. So before acquiring the research skills, to gather more information before selecting a course of action. So that means what you are going to do, what particular problem you are going to consider for your analysis. To do a high-level research study, it cannot be like a single actor or a single stakeholder analysis. You also look at from a perspective of what the impact on the other side of the research, or we called as what are the research impact on the society, environment, and all. Then to understand the research design and relevance. Like if you look at to the Science Direct or any particular database, in last 2 years, the most of the business research, most of the medical research, they're inclined toward to solving a problem of the COVID-19. But still, they're looking for a more and more solutions to improve the managerial decisions for distribution of the vaccination, acceptance of the vaccines, and many more. So which particular the problem and what type of the research design you are going to be consider for framing the problem. Then to evaluate and resolve a current management dilemma. Like if you look at now, the third or the booster dose of the COVID, for example, the government is pushing day by day, 75 days, Amrit Mahotsav, and like so many other initiatives. But still the acceptance rate by the society is very, very minimal. So that means there is a dilemma between the users as well as the policymakers. So we have to be look at for what may be the reason for that, why the people are not accepting or the not taking the booster dose. This may be the one of. The second example can be many people, they are using the organic foods for their daily consumptions, but many not. So what could be the reason? If you are entering to a organic business practices or making a innovative solutions for organic consumers, we should look at from the perspective of what is the dilemma, why we are not taking a greater population based then. So that's why simply we categorize the management research in 4 different categories. One, in a form of reporting. So that means for existing problem, you are reporting the causes of the problem. It can be a SWOT analysis. It can be only, you can say the peripheral or the phenomenal information of any problem. Then descriptive. You are making the study more descriptive in nature, and explanatory. You are explaining the problem, you are explaining the research, the causes of the research, what are the effect of the research on a business environment. Then the last one is the predictive. What could be happen from now in X years? What could be the reason? What could be the predictive model? What could be the forecasted model for translating your research into the business? So that's why, again, so based on these 4 different reporting, descriptive, and explanatory and predictive, we take a decision, or you can say we categorize further our research into 2 categories, whether it's applied research or it can be a basic research, or you can say the pure scientific research, which can be converted into a form of manuscript, in a form of article, in form of some report. But the application part of that particular research may not be realizing now, but maybe after 20 years. Because if you look at the publication on AI, blockchain, the initial studies started in late 2000. But the application part of these into the businesses is getting booming in last 4 or 5 years. So that's why now again, this is the typical question. What is the good research? This is the very, very critical and criticism of this particular point in the academia as well as research. So many people say, no, it is published in the top journals, so it's a good research. Many say, no, its application is very easy, so it's a good research. Many people say, no, the tool is used very simple, so it's very good research. The research is not hiding anything. So these may be the different questions. So the standard, or you can say the philosophical way of defining good article, good research, the purpose of the research should be clear. Which particular set of consumers, if you're doing some marketing research, which particular set of consumers you are looking for, then what research process you are conducting. Suppose if you are using a descriptive analysis, how you are organizing the interviews, how you are taking the input from the expert, input from the industry, how you validate that particular model or hypothesis. Then the research design thoroughly planned. It's not like you are using the multiple tools to make the analysis complex, but the rationale for using a particular tool or method should be clearly explained. Then it's good to highlight the limitation of your model. It's good to highlight the weakness of your model and high ethical standard practices. So it is about, you have to disclose about the data collection procedures, analysis procedures and all. Then adequate analysis meet the decision maker's need, and always give the more clear result representation to the decision makers, and researchers' experience should be reflected in the paper. Because you are conducting a study, suppose a data set of 500, so what could be the conclusive part from that particular? Now, especially in management research, many of the analysts, many of the senior managers and the researchers, there is a conflict. So we called as a, how we can improve especially the management research to the scalability for the managers. So managers' obligation is to specify the problem. They are not bothered about what method you are using. They are looking for a quicker solution. But in the same time, they are not providing the background information or the detailed information about the problem. Access to company information. So many times the restriction, the organizational restriction or the data privacy issues, they're not able to communicate the actual information to the persons, or you can say the researchers. And researchers' obligation is here, they're going to make a very, very typical model. They're providing the various analytical tool, t-value, f-test, so and so. So there is a conflict between the realization of problem and the tentative solution provided by the researchers. So when research should be avoided. So that's why many times they're looking for, there is no need of research. We will manage by own. We look at to the internally, we take a managerial decision, take as a veto decision or like. So when we're talking about when information cannot be, there is no need to go ahead for making a impactful research if you don't have the good information. The good information categorized here, the information needed by you should be provided by the organization. And when the management has insufficient resources to conduct a study. Suppose you are a working professor or the early researcher in some XYZ college, but you don't have access of the different data sets, databases, or the access to the journals. So it is very hard to produce a quality research. Then the cost of a study. Suppose you are making a good problem, you are going to be doing a very, very fantastic study, but for the data collection, the cost of data, or when you're buying a data from a terminal, it's too costly. So again, it may be a cost and benefit analysis. You have to go for a cost benefit analysis and before proceeding. Then, so this is all about what is the good research, how we do, why we do, why, and in which cases we should not go for a research. So research is not a fundamental solution. And once you're done with the research, everybody want to be published, everybody want to be present that research to the entire world. So think about your problem. is a new and interesting to the community, interesting to the policymakers? Is it a current hot topic? So a current hot topic means whether it is solving to the current challenges of the society, current challenges of the policymakers and all. Have you provided solutions to some difficult problems? So this may not be very, very generic type of solutions. Are you ready to publish? It's not always to be published. You can give it a solution for the societies. You can propose some solutions for the policymakers, but before publication, you should be think for whether it's a form of publishable or not. So for all the answers are yes. Topic should be interesting. It should be meeting the requirement of the current time. It should be provided solution to some difficult problems. Then you invest your time for preparing a document in a publishable format. So are you ready to publish? Again, no, my work cannot be published. It can be published in C category. It can be published in D category like this. So again, you have to make a lever analysis. So when you make a lever analysis, you can identify, which is the most optimal outlet for publishing your work. So if you look at here, it can be very old work. It can be incorrect conclusions. Your findings may not be contributing to the solution to the society and all. So once you do a fulcrum analysis, then you can choose, are you ready or are you not ready? And if you are ready, then there is another journey to drive the publication in a publishable form. Then the question is where we have to publish. Like many of the institutions, they put restriction, no, your public for the business and management research. Your paper should be in ABDC category, Australian Business Dean Council. Your paper should be a ABS UK category. It should be in SCI. It should be like the different rankings. But again, how we can decide? Many people say, no, their societies, maybe some American Society for Finance, American Marketing Association like this. These are the top outlets. If we can publish or if your work is appeared in that particular journals, it is considered as renowned publication. So flagship journals of the renowned societies like Decision Science, Journal of Operations Management, Management Science, IEEE transactions if you're doing work with some power energies and all. So the transactions are considered as the top outlet. POEMS, ASME, American Society for Civil Engineers, blah, blah. But it is again a very, very criticism and very crucial decision to make a decision for identifying the different publication outlets. Now, why there is a need of publication? Again, to increase your identity, to place yourself in a system, to make the necessity of the institutions, and to improve the goal of the institution building. So what makes a strong document? Again, if you link to this particular slide to the initial, it should be a systematic search, systematic evaluation. It should be a clear, useful, and exciting message presented and constructed in a logical manner. And it should be a good read, presenting the solutions to the social problems and all. So you can write, you can develop your research in a form of the full articles, in form of review articles if you do some analysis for 20 or 30 years, or a bunch of 50, 100 papers. Then in form of short communication, it cannot be making a analysis of the entire system based on your model. You can also give the letters and the short communications and the review papers. Again, what the journals are liking in case of submission, or it can be the liking of the individuals. It should be timely and current, solve the societal problems, and fit with the scope of the journals. Suppose if you're working on the marketing management, it should be meet the requirement of marketing journals. And if you're blindly submitting on an production operations or any particular other domains, it have a high chance to get a desk rejection. What is our research culture? Because now it is linked to the tenure confirmation, promotions, reward and incentive systems. You will get extra pay, and to make impact, to increase your visibility, and the finally can be inspirational or motivation for the other early researchers. So this is again the repetitive slides, how to choose the right journals. But the importance of the structuring of your research is you start with the title, the abstract, keyword. So if you look at this particular slide, so now many of the researchers, they are in dilemma how to start and from where to start. So for that particular, start writing in a backward manner. Look at to the figures, tables, which is representing the conclusion and the important findings of your research. Then what could be the method? How you are linking to the method to the research results, and results to the discussion, and conclusion and introduction. Then finally, the abstract and title. But many people, they feel that no, we should be identified first the title, what could be the manuscript title, what could be the abstract. But if you look at the linking and the relationship between the title and abstract, they are reflecting the inner core of the entire research. Okay, so the effective way to identify the main issues of the paper should be concise, but also accurate, specific, complete. So if you look at to my definition of research, you can link this particular slide. Okay, then what things we should be keep in the abstract? That's why the many of the journals, they're limited. You cannot write 1,000 words. They're limiting some 100 words, 150 words, 200 words. In 200 words, you have to be summarized. For example, you have to summarize what are the problem you are addressing to the remaining pages. What are the method you are used, and how do you use, how you are obtaining the results and conclusions. Similarly, so this is again the typical rule, 1-2 sentence. So see, this may not be rule applicable to each and every one. So this is like a tentative. Suppose if you are 100 words, and accordingly you can divide it into the different levels. Then figures, tables, method, results. So this is the bottom-up approach for writing your good manuscript. Again, and this is again very funny, or maybe a real situation. Many times people think that we can add a professor from Harvard, Stanford to get published work in the top journal. It may be happen. So if you look at again, we should have ethical research. If you are a lead author, you should be the communicating of the first author. Okay, so make a qualitative as well as a ethical decision about your authorship. Then revise your submission before submission. So this is not part for this talk. So this is like a typical procedure. Once you receive the revision or the comments from the reviewer who is looking your manuscript, you can revise and submit again. So this is the typical process, or you can say the relationship between a author, editor, and reviewer. You submit a paper, it looking for first checked by the editor. If it is meeting the requirement, assign the reviewer and go through the process. Okay. Again, what as an individual reader, who is the first reader of your manuscript, and a genuine reader is looking for not 100% nobility, not 100% technical quality, but it's an optimal mix of quality and nobility. So you should be focused on nobility and quality. So this is again how to decide the journal outlets. Again, this is not a part of this talk. And many times, if you look at this particular process, so nobody is in a real life. Many people are having a criticism nature to criticize your work, but many of not. So they are looking for something contributing because you are contributing or solving the societal problem. So they are just checking. So it is your perspective whether you are looking this particular equipment as a X or a supporting equipment. So they are supporting also. They are supporting to revise and to re-including the. So that's why the re word we put it the different phrases for re. So this is the process which is help you to get published your research. And again, if you have a revision after submission, you can did it. So I also including some of the references for making this slide interacting. And thank you so much. Now we have around 22 minutes to discuss the individual questions, their inputs, their views, their challenges. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Aalok sir, for this. I'm sure this has given an overview of what research is all about, how research has to be done, what all the. I would say it was the simplest language possible you have made us understand. That's really.
I try the most simplest and realistic information. We are not talking about no, you should publish. It's up to you. If you want, you can. If you don't want, you are contributing on voluntary basis to the society. You can also support.
Okay. So again to add little flavor to this research, one of the participants, Mr. Nagaraj, asks, sir, how to make research more entertaining?
Yeah, very good question. So when we're talking about a research culture and entertainment to the researcher as well as to the audience, which is reading your or referring your work later. So entertaining here in terms of, again, it is a intellectual the entertainment. It's not like a movie entertainment or your leisure entertainment. It's a intellectual entertainment. Many times when you are reading an article that may or may not be belongs to your area, but the problem statement or proposed solutions or any particular part is make you interesting to read the entire document. So this is here you have to make a intellectual entertainment for the audience, which brings or which make the more entertaining research with the help of including and solving the more realistic problems.
Very, very true, sir. I mean, both the researcher as well as the reader as well as the researcher both has to be put in the intellectual efforts to be a little more easier for them to understand.
Yeah.
So moving ahead to the next question, sir. This has been asked by Abhishek Mishra. He says, how to decide a topic for research? How will we come to know that if it is a unique topic or our content is different?
Yeah. Yeah. So Abhishek ji, so if you look at to the research, so we have to consider the rethinking. Okay. We should be the reproducing. Okay. Suppose if a problem, because if you look at to the special case of COVID, so it may be 100-year or once in a century phenomena, right? Nobody is knowing. Even if you look at to the 2009 before, there was no a single article on that. And now, thanks to COVID, which make the more interesting and more number of research problems for the business environment. Now, if you look at how the business research for the food delivery, medicine delivery, food consumption, hyperlocal systems, they are impacted by the COVID. So if you look at for a particular case, which is making more interesting and more relevant, and your question is about the uniqueness, you can bring the uniqueness by looking the society, look at the real challenges of the society, which make it more unique.
Great. Thank you so much, sir, for that. I hope Abhishek have got the information. The next question has been asked by Rajiv. He says, hello and good evening, sir. I just wanted to know, like, how is the education ecosystem involving the online education landscape?
Okay. Good, Rajiv. So when we're talking about here the ecosystem, So I would just add to your, special to your questions, there is no replacement of a physical education, because we are in an industry which highly depend on a physical touch. Many of the professors, if you listen online, you didn't find the interesting class. But if you listen to an offline system, offline ecosystem, you will get more interactions. Second point, it can be a booming industry for a certain period, which may be like during the COVID, we get more about the online education and all. But again, when we're talking about a student perspective, if they prefer to do a offline or a physical education, physical college or institute-based education, they get not only the intellectual mindset, they're also getting the social mindset, how they can behave, how they can act in a system. So that's why your the conclusion to your question is, one second, once. Yeah, education. Yeah. So that means when you're talking about without doing any research, I can say there may be a neutral influence, because a choice of maybe many people, they prefer, due to the time constraint, online education, but many have a preferences of physical education.
Great. Thank you so much for that, sir. The next question is being asked by Pragya Revankar. She says, like, how does the case study method help with business research?
Yeah. So Pragya, when we're talking about a case study, which is again a smaller format of your research article. In a case study, you are considering a business environment which is applicable to a particular company, and you are concluding, you are recommending to the managers of the company to consider your recommendations for improving the performance. So this is also one form of research. So that's why when you're submitting your articles, they are also asking about your category. Your paper category can be a full manuscript, review article, case study, blah blah. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Sir, another just last couple of questions we'll take more. Mr. Jay Kumar asked, is research suggestive?
Is research suggestive? No, what is the question? Research suggestive means?
I think Mr. Jay Kumar is supposed to be asking, like, should anybody do a research? Is it suggestible that they have to get into research?
No. Again, it's your inner zeal, or you can say it's your own decision. Okay, it's the inner voice.
Okay. So the last question we'll take for the evening, sir. How to complete a PhD research within 3 years? If it is possible, how to proceed? Give a little bit of information on PDF.
So again, see, many times the research can be completed before 3 years. It depends on your problem, your efforts to provide the solutions to the problem. So I would say there is no measurement of the research on a scale of time. It can be 30 years. Many of the problems, research problems, are still unexplored since 300 years. If you're talking about physics, there are a lot of problems which people are solving from a time of Einstein to till now. So it's depend on how bigger, how complex, or how you are considering the problem state. And for the postdoctoral fellow or the postdoctoral work, you can also get the postdoctoral work in the same discipline, same domain. It's again depend on your interest and motivation for further exploring to the research.
Great. Thank you so much, sir. There's last, we'll take one more question, sir. Dr. S. Ponmalar asked, can you suggest a topic for funded project, sir?
Yeah. So Ponmalarji,
Yes.
My answer to your question, now if you look into the India, DST, SERB, ICSSR, they're also offering a different funded project for doing the research. But especially in case of management, the Indian Council for Social Sciences Research is giving funding for doing the research. But again, they are looking for the innovative social challenges which you are going to be addressed.
Great. Thank you so much for that, sir. I think that's all for the evening, and I would like to thank Aalok sir for being with us. Thank you so much for spreading knowledge about the research, and I'm sure a lot of them have got the information about research, what research is, how research has to be done, how to publish the research, when to do it, how to do it. There are a lot of information which was shared. So I'm sure that has helped a lot of our participants. And I would also like to thank all our participants for joining and being always with us. So thank you so much. Just for your information, your certificates, all the participants will be receiving within 2 working days from today. And do visit GIBS. We love in welcoming the audience to the GIBS campus, because we are a state-of-art campus infrastructure. And the next IRE talks is on the 20th of September, and that's on innovation by Ms. Vidya Vellal. So I request all the participants, you can register yourself for the upcoming IRE talks, so you will not miss out on anything. But again, they say the gratitude is what we always believe in. So I have very high regards and gratitudes towards Aalok sir for taking out time for GIBS audience. Thank you so much, Aalok sir.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Sandeep ji, for inviting me, and I try my best to contribute and motivate to the participants, and I hope and wish good luck for their best research findings to help the business ecosystem.
Thank you so much, sir. It was really nice having you. Thank you so much, sir.